I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Silly Jedi! Silly Jedi!
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
Hello, what have we here?
Hello there.
At last! Where have you been?
Nice of you guys to drop by.
Ah, good. New acquisitions.
I don't know. I have a bad feeling about this.
Hey everybody, welcome to Star Wars Car Talk, the only podcast that takes place in the car while driving, and we're talking Star Wars all the time. So I'm Maurice Mercado, and if this is the first time you are watching us on YouTube or listening to us, welcome. So hopefully if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, tell a friend, share it. Do all those things. They're nice. It's nice when you do that. And if you're listening to us wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's iTunes or Anchor, please make sure you leave us a good review. You say, hey, this guy, that's kind of cool. He's driving in his car talking about Star Wars. It's nice. It's nice. Be nice. Be nice, guys. So if you are listening to us, or if you've been listening to us rather for a while now, you know that I have said many times that I'm done talking about the sequel trilogy, and well, we're going to talk a little bit about the sequel trilogy, but we're also going to talk about some really cool stuff which just came out this week and I'm so excited about, and that is the dropping of the Mandalorian Season 2 trailer. That's right. So let's get right to it. This is, I don't know, this might be a long episode, this might be a short episode. We'll see how it goes as I'm driving along here. But first things first, last week we talked about that interview that John Boyega did and how it basically just outed, the people at Disney and Lucasfilm and all that for, I guess he was kind of outing, but also kind of speaking from a place of frustration as as an artist and even as a fan, that he was brought onto these movies with kind of the expectation that his role would be significant, and he feels that his role wasn't as significant, and in fact he was used basically to kind of sell tickets to kind of attract a certain demographic, and in a time when there's so much sensitivity to that, to race and how we treat each other, what's fair. It definitely struck a chord, but it was also something that as fans of Star Wars, all of us collectively kind of were like, thank you for acknowledging it. The character of Finn was really just kind of put in the movie, and I'll just go out and say it. It was just like, oh look, there's a black guy in Star Wars, and it's just like that. Why does that have to be the thing? Like, he could have been such a great character, and they hinted at it. He a stormtrooper that turns good, that maybe the Force called onto him. The Force Awakens, the title of that movie made you think, well, maybe he's the guy that, the Force is calling him. And maybe it's calling Rey. Like, maybe the Force is awakening in these people, these Force sensitive people throughout the galaxy, so that the good, the light can rise again. So many possibilities there, and yet it was just tossed in the toilet and flushed. The advertising hinted at him being Force sensitive, him holding the lightsaber, and in that one clip from the trailer, he's like swinging the lightsaber, and he has the lightsaber in the movie, and he fights with it in the movie, but yet nothing. Like, his character by The Last Jedi was a joke, was comic relief, and by the third one, it was more of the same. It was like kind of like comic relief, and him, like pigeonholing and forcing a kind of like a arc with his character, when the only arc that he has is that he goes from being a stormtrooper to wearing somebody else's jacket, And then finally in the third one, he has his own wardrobe. So I mean, like that his wardrobe has a story arc, but he as a character did not. So anyway, that was a big to do last week. You know, everybody's talking about it, and you know, it's just interesting that came out. But then Daisy Ridley was interviewed on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and was asked, you know, about what she thought about, you know, the revelation of her being Palpatine's granddaughter, and like, did she know from the beginning? Like, was that something that was written about her character that she knew that she had to keep in secret all this whole time, you know? And obviously, we all know the answer to that was going to be no. I mean, even Mark Hamill didn't know. I mean, he didn't know about like, oh, Darth Vader's your dad, and oh, you know, Leia's your sister. No, those things were kind of George Lucas kind of came up with those things as each film kind of developed into something more. But George Lucas had an outline for the entire story. You know, it's just you know, as a filmmaker, as an artist, that that story kept evolving so that he can you know, make a better movie. So I mean, it's as simple as that. So for those that are going to criticize, saying, well, the sequel trilogy did the same thing, you know, they're just kind of like, you know, feeling every movie out and developing the story as they go so that they can make a better grand story. No. You're confused. You're confusing it then and now. It's totally different. You know, George Lucas created Star Wars. It was in his mind. He wrote it down on paper. He had notes. You know, I mean, if you look at a lot of the making of material that exists, and you will see that the story was constantly evolving, but he always had ideas. He always had ideas of like who the characters were, and what was going to happen to them, and what he wanted to happen at the end, you know. And in between those things, in between the movies, yeah, things changed, but ultimately it was a vision. And I think that's the point. The sequel trilogy didn't have a vision, and it's a shame because they kind of did. George Lucas handed them a vision, and they decided to ignore it. Now, they did probably pick out little things in there, but maybe little elements, but ultimately they did their own thing, and it was the wrong thing. But Daisy Ridley basically said no, and you can watch it. It's on YouTube. I'll link it below, the clip. She said basically, no, I had no idea what was going to happen. By the second one, we kind of figured that she was a nobody. And then by the third one, they were toying with the idea that she might be related to Obi-Wan. But then they said, oh no, we're going to bring Palpatine back, and you're the granddaughter. But then they said, no, we're not going to do that anymore. So the plan was changing the whole time. And that right there is the problem with the sequel trilogy. That you don't even know who your main character is. You don't even know, you never established who Rey was, even behind the scenes. Like, that's the biggest slap in the face to Star Wars fans, to just everyone involved. People involved in these movies, everyone from the grips to the production assistants, like all these people like got this job to work on a Star Wars movie, you know, and it's like, wow, I'm working on a Star Wars movie. Like, the people that are working with James Cameron on the Avatar sequels, guess what, man? You better hell know, you better bet that James Cameron knows what he wants to do. He knows where the story is going, and he knows where he wants to end up. Okay, he has a vision for this story, for this world that he's created, just like George Lucas. But Disney did not know what the vision was. They didn't know who Rey was. They just thought it was kind of cool to create this character who's a female and have her be the hero. And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great idea. Yes, let's make the sequel trilogy about this female hero who becomes a Jedi. Like, that hasn't been done before. We did see female Jedi in the prequels, but not a central character. So like, man, that's cool. That's a good idea. But they botched it. They didn't know what they were doing. They had no vision, and because they had no vision, it shows. It totally shows. Oh gosh, it's just such a mess. It's such a giant mess, and it's so discouraging because I've said this before and I'll say it again, and I want to stop talking about the sequel trilogy, but it's just so frustrating because it could have been so much more. It could have been it's there's so much that it could have been, and the fact that they just why, like, how hard is it to get all of the creative people that are going to be involved in a room and like hash out the story, like go rent out a hotel somewhere, rent out a conference center, get the story group together, get the producers together, get the directors together that you have direct these 3 movies, put them in a room together, and let's say, how can we collectively create the best Star Wars we can create? Like, let's we're not trying to like outdo George Lucas, but let's try to make a great Star Wars trilogy. Let's do it. But no, they didn't do it. I don't know what they did. I honestly don't know what they did. It makes absolutely no sense what they did. At the end of the day, they don't care. These movies made a boatload of money, but they also spent a boatload of money. And when you look at what something like The Mandalorian does, and what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have been able to do with The Mandalorian, and to create just an epic show that's Star Wars and make it on a budget, and yet it feels grand and it feels Star Wars, then when you look at the Rise of Skywalker documentary that's on the when you buy the Blu-ray, it's part of it. Like, they spent all this money basically going to the middle of some desert in Jordan or something to film a scene using a green screen. Oh, because doing it this way, it looks more authentic because of the lighting. The amount of money that they must have spent to have all this gear and equipment sit on a desert so they can film a scene with the actors in front of a green screen on location, like, that right there is the epitome of just bloated. Like, that's Titanic. The sequel trilogy is Titanic. Like, you're so pompous in thinking that this ship is unsinkable, and guess what? It has a bunch of holes in it. It's leaking all over the place. But anyway, that was my trying to segue into Mandalorian, because on the flip side you have Mandalorian, which is amazing. So I'm gonna take a quick break, and I'll be back in 2 seconds, and we're gonna talk about Mandalorian trailer for season 2.
You're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
We've got to give him more time.
Okay, so the piece de resistance, however, with all this, frustration that I have with the sequel trilogy, and I promise myself always that I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but it sucks me back in, these conversations, which I imagine this is what it must have been like for, once the slow burn of the prequels kind of set in for many fans. I do remember feeling a little bit burnt with the prequels at first, and just disappointment and what could have been, or if this or if that. But I think eventually you just kind of grow to appreciate the prequels for what they are, like a very unique vision. And it is Star Wars from a certain point of view. And there is a vision there. It was just very different and out there, and they were pushing, George Lucas was all about pushing technology in a certain way, but it is what it is. And I think the Clone Wars cartoon, obviously, if anything, has enhanced the story and the enjoyability that you can get watching the prequels. Because now you can separate them. That there's the prequels, there's those stories that kind of are bridged with the Clone Wars animated show, and then the fact that we have now stories that take place in between trilogies. We have Star Wars Rebels, and we have Solo and Rogue One, and we have all this kind of palette of stories that take place in between, and I think that has enhanced the prequels. Makes the prequels, makes you appreciate them. And now I think, in a weird way, we have The Mandalorian, and The Mandalorian takes place after Return of the Jedi, after the original trilogy, but I think it's too far removed to be kind of like a precursor to the sequel trilogy, because it's closer to the original trilogy than it is to the sequel trilogy. But nonetheless, if they play their cards right, and they do like a season 3, for example, it could plant seeds for future stories or spin-offs that incorporate how the sequel trilogy came to be. And that might be interesting. But right now, sequel trilogy is just, we'll just put it over there. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's not think about it anymore. And, let's just move on to better things like The Mandalorian. And the season 2 trailer dropped, and I gotta say, it's just that. It's a trailer. It's a teaser, and it doesn't really give a whole lot away. I think the Mandalorian trailers have been really good at just kind of giving you a scope, just showing you locations and kind of color palettes. Like season 1's color palette was very very tan and desert and orange. The color palette of this season seems to be very blue. A lot of blue, a lot of water, snow, and I'm digging it. Even the new logo and the new poster, it's more blue. So it's kind of showing you that it's a different tone. It's a different. This is a different season. This is a new season, and right off the bat, man, you're just thrown into what's going on. Obviously the Mandalorian is his mission, as we show here in the voiceover. It's from season 1, the helmeted Mandalorian that makes all the armor. She tells old Mando that he has to protect the child, reunite it with its species, and that child might have something to do with the ancient sorcerers known as the JEDI. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I guess season 2 is just Mandalorian trying to find this, where this species is from. I have a feeling so that we can keep the mystery of the Yoda species a mystery. I think it's good that it's a mystery. We don't know what his species is called. We don't know where they're originally from. I think we might keep it that way. I think this season is just going to be him searching and not being able to find where his species is from. And along the way, I think he's going to run into Sabine and Ahsoka. And I think we see Sabine in the trailer. There's this character, you see her here, you see her watching the Mandalorian from a distance with a cloak, and then she kind of disappears. Obviously, that's not Ahsoka. I honestly think that's Sabine. This is a new actress that is actually a women's wrestler from the WWE, and was cast in this part. And if you look at the animated Sabine and you look at her, there's no denying that could be her. That could be the live action Sabine Wren. And I'm excited about that. That's really cool, especially if they cast somebody that's as physical as a female wrestler, as athletic and physical, that can basically encompass that role and also be physical and have, you know, because I mean in Star Wars Rebels, I mean, you know, Sabine did some really cool stuff. I mean, she was a badass. So so it's gonna be interesting to see that. No hinting of Ahsoka. No, we don't see Ahsoka. We don't even see like maybe like, you know, a hint of her or some kind of Easter egg of her. But I think the fact that we see this other character who more than likely is Sabine, I think is exciting. And I don't know, man. It really, watching this trailer and then looking through some kind of screen captures of the episode, I can't help but just feel excited again, because it's like, wow, we're getting some good Star Wars again. And it's a good feeling to know that, you know, it's a good feeling to know that we're going to get some good Star Wars, man. I don't know what else to say about that, but the trailer looks great. I'm excited. What do you guys think? You know, comment below. Hit us up on Instagram at Jedi Toy Masters or at Star Wars Card Talk and ask your questions. I would love to get some questions from you guys. I would love to answer them right here on the show. But let me know what do you guys think of season 2 Mandalorian. I think it's exciting. I mean, what you know, we have shots of like Imperial stormtroopers. We have shots of this. It looks like they're on a Star Destroyer. It looks like they're on a ship. We know that Grand Moff Gideon is going to be an integral part of the story. We know that he has the black saber. I mean, man, we see Gamorrean guards wrestling, and like they're like slimmed down versions of Gamorrean guards, not the big fat slobby ones that we saw in Jabba's palace. Like, so this is like really out there. It's man, the Mandalorian, I think, is in essence, its heart and soul is the expanded universe. Like, where Disney kind of like did away with the expanded universe and kind of said, oh no, this is legend, basically meaning it's not canon, even though we can like cherry pick what we want from the expanded universe and incorporate it into the canon of Star Wars. The Mandalorian really embraces the expanded universe and really it's like it's watching what the expanded universe would have looked like if George Lucas had the technology that exists today and would have allowed other creators to come alongside and create the stories of the expanded universe. Like, this is what it would have looked like. You know, this is what we would have gotten. Like Shadows of the Empire could have been something like this. I mean, the Thrawn trilogy could have been something like this. You know, it's it kind of just makes you think, like, you know, what we could have gotten had George Lucas had the technology and the ability to do these stories like this. And the fact that the Mandalorian gets to look so cinematic and look so Star Wars on a TV budget, yet again, here we go, the sequel trilogy had literally like countries, like the you know, the budgets of a country, of a small country basically, or more, to create 3 movies that ultimately was just, you know, it was just attractive to look at but had no substance. It's unfortunate. Mandalorian's doing it right. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni should be in charge of Lucasfilm, or at the very least, he should be in charge of the story group of Lucasfilm. Like, he should be the go-to person if Disney wants to do anything story related that's Star Wars. Like, whether it's the movies or TV, like, they literally, if you don't want to use George Lucas, you don't want to knock on George Lucas's door or call him in and use him as a consultant like you were supposed to. Like, that was part of the deal, that you would bring on George Lucas as a creative consultant, that you would use his story treatments. None of that happened. You don't want to do that. Okay, honestly, the next best thing is Dave Filoni, and you have him, and he's like so willing to to share that knowledge. Like anytime you see him interviewed, he's always sharing little stories and tidbits about how him and George Lucas, would have these conversations, how George Lucas would tell him about, just the mythology of Star Wars and what it's all about. And I want to know, though, what you guys think. I want to know, do you guys think we will get a season 3? How about that? I mean, I'm calling it right now. We will get a season 3. I can't see Mandalorian ending after 2 seasons. It can't be like 2 seasons and done. There needs to be a season 3. And if season 3 is the last season, I'll be okay with that, because you don't want to push it and have it get to a place where we're like, they should have stopped at season 3. I think we'll get a season 3, and I think it'll be amazing. It'll be a great conclusion. I mean, everything has to be in these 3s. You get your opening chapter, you get your middle conflict, and you have your resolution, the climax. You have to have that at least. And I think definitely after the first season of Mandalorian, it's going to happen with season 2. But I want to know what you guys think, so hit us up on Instagram at Jedi Toy Masters or at Star Wars Card Talk, or you can comment below if you're watching this on YouTube. I would love to know. I keep saying we. There's only me. There's nobody else here. But I would love to know. So let us know. But anyway, that's all I kind of had for today. I really just wanted to talk about this whole thing with the Daisy Ridley interview, and then just the Mandalorian. The biggest takeaway for the Mandalorian trailer is just that I'm excited at the fact that there's like more locations. You can see this. You can see the color tone is different in this season. And also, which tells me also that like the feel of the show is going to be a little bit different. I think we're going to go deeper. I think that's what that means. And the fact that this person could possibly be Sabine Wren, and we're definitely getting Ahsoka. Man, I can't believe we're getting a live action Ahsoka and possibly a live action Rex. The fact that we're getting a live action Ahsoka and a live action Rex, possibly. I hope so. Or maybe it's Boba Fett. Who knows? I think that's just so cool. But that's all for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for listening wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Anchor, what have you. Please make sure you give me a good review. Give us here at Jedi Toy Masters and at Star Wars Card Talk a good review. Check us out on Instagram. Check out some of our other videos that we have on our YouTube channel, and let everybody know that, Star Wars Card Talk, it's a guy that loves Star Wars, and he's going to talk about it in the car while driving. Now, unfortunately, because of this whole pandemic thing that we're going through and the virus and all that, I don't know when I will be able to have a guest sitting next to me so that we can have a true Star Wars car talk. But hopefully I do want to get some guests here virtually. Maybe have a little split screen and have somebody either like a Zoom or a video chat or something. I did do it one time, so I'm just hoping that I can do it again. But that's it for now, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And let us know what you think of Mandalorian Season 2 and what you think about this whole thing with Daisy Ridley, basically exposing, on the second cast member to expose the sequel trilogy, and its shortcomings, basically. I mean, she didn't say that it was a shortcoming, but she kind of said it matter of fact, as like, it is what it is, but we all know that that's not how it should have been. But anyway, that's all I got to say. Guys, have a good one. And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.